Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Previously, we talked about the benefits of reading, and I hope some of you will have taken on that advice and carried on reading or improving with your reading. Today, I want to briefly reflect upon something that is related to and with reading, which is writing. I don't mean typing on the phone, a text message. That's not qualified as writing, that's cheating. Writing is actually sitting down with a pen and paper and writing things down, a journal, or maybe nowadays on your computer, writing. It's an important skill and a craft that we should try in our own little way to write, whether on our computers or maybe have a journal on your phone. Every day you write a little bit about yourself, or maybe you have a book next to your bed, and every evening before you go to sleep, write something down, and maybe your children or grandchildren one day will uncover it in your attic and they will share it with their children. So writing is an important skill. But what are the benefits of writing? Often I meet people and they struggle to express their ideas. So they have lots of things in their mind and they struggle to get those ideas across to people, or they become overly emotional. So they speak really fast and you're trying to keep up with what they're saying. What writing does as a habit is that it helps you to process your ideas. It helps you to process your emotions. Most of us are very emotional, which is natural as a human being, but sometimes that can be detrimental. So writing allows you to think carefully and also to process your ideas. It's good for your mental health and self-awareness. So when I write, for example, which I do a lot of my time, it helps me to process my ideas. You're probably listening to me right now and you're wondering, how did he learn to speak like this? It wasn't through speaking a lot in public. I spent lots of time in my life, especially later on in life, writing a lot. So when I write, it forces you to think about your words carefully and choose the precise type of words as well. So it's very therapeutic. I find writing very relaxing as well. So that's the first benefit, which is self-expression, and it gives you emotional clarity. Your mind is clear. The second benefit of writing is that it aids you in critical thinking and problem solving. We are an ummah who solve problems. We don't create problems. We know there are going to be problems, but we deal with the idea that we are trying to overcome challenges and problems. So when you're learning the craft of writing, you're forced to organize your thoughts, because in your mind they're all over the place. It's all over the place. And when you're writing, you have to make it structured. You have to put it in order so the person that's reading it, they can follow what you want to say. But there's also another important benefit, which is what I call it sharpens your reasoning. You become really, really sharp when you write, because it allows you to think through things properly, and it allows you to help other people and also spot errors in the way they are thinking. So it allows you to do some deep reflection and also deeper analysis, which is what Muslims have always done. The third benefit is something that my daughter loves, which is creativity and imagination. Writing is one of the best ways to explore ideas in your mind. You have lots of things that might be in your mind, and it allows you to write fiction, stories, poetry, or essays that you might want to write. Some of you will be thinking, Maulana, it's easy for you because you've got a PhD and you read books. I think anybody can write if they put their mind to it. If you're giving some time every day, 10, 15 minutes, just to write something down, write a story, write something down, it's very, very relaxing. And it's better than watching TikTok. And you shouldn't be on TikTok now anyway, because it's almost been controlled by certain governments. But the point is that writing allows you to express yourself and create originality. We live in a world where everybody just copies each other. But what we want is original ideas. And writing allows you to do that. So I encourage all of you to write. And many of our grandparents used to write anyway because they had to write letters. I remember as a child opening letters or carrying letters for my father or my grandfather. They were blue letters, blue envelopes. I don't know if you remember them, with the red and blue stripes on the side. Might be too old for you, but I still remember those days. where you had to write letters. Before emails came along, you had to physically write down. And my father, I remember, may God bless him and preserve him, he would force me to write things. And that's something I learned from my father, this love of having a pen in your hand. I carry pens with me all the time. Even though I love technology, there's nothing better than holding a pen in your hand and scribbling away and writing notes. The fourth and final benefit of writing is that it allows you to learn the craft of communicating, just like I am right now. I've learned this craft of communicating by writing. So, how do you communicate effectively? How do you do deep analysis? How do you write in a way and speak in a way that helps people? So, this Jummah, for example, today I was talking about the recent protests that we have. And I can talk about Quran and Hadith, but I can also throw in some statistics in there. I can also throw in some research in there and bring different ideas together and think about actually the audience that might be watching the YouTube may not be Muslims one day, and there might be a non-Muslim watching that, and maybe he gets a different perspective. So writing allows you to do that. And one of the most important skills that you learn from the Prophet ﷺ is that he learned the craft of persuading people. He was able to get people to think. And when you write really well and you think really well and you speak really well, you're able to persuade people. They say that whole nations, entire empires have gone to war with the power of words. Words are so powerful, people will go to war just on that basis. So it allows you to build a story and write effectively. And this is, of course, what the Quran gives us. The Quran is a spoken text. We read it, we recite it, but also it's a written text. We preserve it by also writing it down. We write hadith down. And so we should encourage our children, we should encourage our homes, in our homes, this environment of reading. One of the things that I always tell people in my own experience is that in your home you should have maybe a corner where you have books and you sit down every day 5 minutes, 10 minutes for a short while, just reading small passages in front of your children rather than watching TV, rather than being on your phone and scrolling away in front of your children. Inculcate that habit in yourself that I will read in front of my children, because when children see you reading, they understand without you telling them that this is the way to live, this is the way to be, which is reading. And reading is something that the Quran tells us to do. It is something that Islam teaches us. So we should move away and curb the habit of being on our phones all day and being on these technological devices, which are useful. But for the vast majority of people, it's a distraction. Most people, if we're honest with ourselves, we end up going on WhatsApp, we end up going on Telegram, we end up going on TikTok or Instagram, and we get distracted. What you need is a good old piece of paper, a good old book, and reading it. And some of you will say to me, Maulana, I can't read, I'm struggling to read, I find it really boring. Read anything. Literally anything that interests you. Go to a bookstore, pick up a book, and just read it slowly. If you're struggling to read a page, read half a page every day. What you will quickly realize is you will find that your brain will start to enjoy it, and that you will find, or you will look for opportunities where you can sneak out of a wedding, sit in a car, quietly in a car park somewhere and read a book. And you will become that sort of person who will always carry books with you, because that's what really you want to do with your time. So it's important to do that. It's also a very good social skill when you're around people and you're able to, cite this book and cite that book and tell people that you've read this. It also makes you a good companion when you've read stuff. So become that type of person. And they always say that when you read books, whatever type of book it is, it opens up your mind to different horizons. I mentioned last time I was reading a novel by Dostoevsky. He's a Russian novel. Maulana, why are you reading novels, Russians? There's so much you can gain from Russian history just by reading those books and how that world works. I'm reading books on all sorts of things. If you ask me, I'm reading 5, 6 different books on different things about the Palestinian state, whether they have a state or not, alongside Israel. There's books written on that. What's the pros of it? What's the cons of it? Right? About immigration. Is immigration a good thing or a bad thing? All of these things are important to be aware of, because Muslims should be aware of all the conversations that society is having. So please, my message to you is encourage yourself to read through the message that Allah has given us in the Quran. Subhanallah.